Heyo everybody, Haku here with a hopefully short and quick Tower of God discussion. This is something that I've been thinking about for the past few weeks, but especially after last week's chapter, I thought about it a lot after one certain scene that I'll talk about in this video. But I think that the Nest arc, so far, is doing everything right that a lot of people, including myself in some of these cases, thought that the last station did wrong. They're trying to be the same type of arc. Gonna keep this short. Also, this is kind of straight off the cuff. I think I might have like one or two bullet points of things that I didn't want to forget. But yeah, just talking straight off the top of my head here, something I've been thinking about. They're both trying to be the same sort of arc. They're trying to be this sort of big bomb and all of these cool allies that are supposed to be big important characters in the grand scheme of Tower of God are coming together and fighting against Zahard's army on a smaller scale. It's kind of a Marineford type of experience for Tower of God. Now, the more I kind of thought of this, it feels a little bit like the last station is like, it came too soon. Maybe see who blew his load too soon, to speak proverbially, or kind of blatantly there. But it feels like with a little bit more build-up, we could have gotten what we're getting right now with the Nest. But he wanted something big and climactic at the end of Season 2, so maybe some of the stuff just happened too early. One of the big points I'm going to make here is that the difference comes from Bomb's involvement in this arc feeling three things: more earned, more character motivated, and more reasonable. More earned in the way that sort of he just got some power-ups during, like he had his training and a great arc beforehand with the Hidden Floor, but when it came to the last station, the way he fought with Charlie, who was a ranker, seemed a little bit out of nowhere at the time. He got some power-ups kind of out of nowhere as well. But this feels like he belongs here. He's been training for 3 years. He's gotten strong enough to do what he's doing here, to fight against a ranker like Charlie, and it doesn't go too far, which goes into the reasonable point, but it feels more character motivated in the way that at the last station he was just kind of there, kind of reacting to Zahard giving out the order for him to be killed. He was kind of reacting to everything, just kind of running away, whereas this time he has a reason to be here. He decided, even if I go alone, even if I die, I want to try to rescue Jin Sung. And he trusted, he hoped at least, that allies would show up to support him. And they did, because going to the Rachel video I just recorded, he has people that trust him, and he has people that he can trust. So everything he's doing here feels, and like even just the scene we got recently with him looking out and seeing the bodies and being like, no, this was my decision, I can't look away. It feels like this is so much more character motivated than Last Station was. And also, his role seems more reasonable. In Last Station, he was thrown up against rankers, standing his ground, and there were plenty of other rankers and high rankers around who didn't just kill him or anything. But here it seems really reasonable. He's able to survive on this battlefield because they're not all rankers and high rankers, at least they're not all around him, and the rankers and high rankers are really sort of held up by his allies. And even the ones around him can't really get to him because he is surrounded by allies who are high rankers. He has Cha and Karaka right there with him currently. And his goal isn't to go out and beat these rankers and high rankers. That's not what people are expecting of him. What they're expecting is for him to use his ability to break spells as an irregular to lower the guards so that people who are much stronger can go on the attack. So again, I like this. His involvement in the arc feels a lot more reasonable than it did in Last Station. Also, just the setup of Last Station with where regulars could and couldn't go, and the involvement of people like Levy, which was a little odd, in hindsight at least, because he turned into such a jobber. This feels a lot better than Last Station did reading it. Just the side characters for Last Station weren't as good and didn't really feel as important, at least in the end. And I feel like the 3 points I made for it feeling more earned, more character motivated, and more reasonable, the same goes not just for Bomb, but both for all of his allies and for all of his enemies. Now, this is the moment I talked about in the most recent chapter that really made me think about this even more than I had the past couple of weeks, is when we see the news that Calavan has confronted Bomb. Then we see a reaction panel of Kunagaru Agnes, and then I'm pretty sure the three faces we see in this one reaction panel is Yama, Evankel, and White. And it makes so much sense for these characters. Like, that's when it hit me. It makes so much sense for these characters to be here, sort of Marineford style, helping Bomb out. White, before, didn't really have the same connection to Bomb and same reason to be there that he does now. When it comes to Karaka has this solid motivation now of wanting to save Jinsung, whereas his motivation for not just noping out of there before and helping Bomb wasn't, like, it was there, it just wasn't built up as well. And Yama has this great, amazing character arc. Yama is a great character in my opinion. He has this really, really solid reason for wanting to be there and wanting to help Bomb. His allies feel so much more motivated than they felt in the last station, whereas in the last station, aside from maybe like Yuri, it was mostly like, we're really just trying to escape, but we gotta fight these people instead of running away individually, because we have to help these regulars, and there were reasons. It just feels like the reasons are much more strong in their writing here than they were then. So, yeah, it feels like his allies have a better reason, and also with his enemies, there's a lot more personal stuff going on with his enemies this time around, with Dewan and what's going on with her, with Calavan and his storyline. There's a lot more stuff going on now than there were with the characters who showed up in Last Station, who for the most part, other than Calavan really, didn't have many personal reasons to care that much what happened here. His enemies here have a reason to care, because this is going to look horrible. If Sahar's army loses the nest to FUG, that's going to be tower changing. That's going to be massive. It's going to be such a huge embarrassment for them, even more than... And, they know that it's going to be an embarrassment. It's not like showing up to the last station where they don't expect this embarrassment. They just think, oh, we're going to steamroll some regulars. It's not going to be that much of a difficulty. So again, his enemies have a lot better motivation this time around. And the stakes, I feel, are more well thought out. The stakes before were, of course, okay, the three orders, which we haven't really heard much of since then. It's been 3 years. But the three orders, they were like, oh, we're all going to be killed. Makes sense. Then they add in some more little bit of convoluted stuff, like some of his allies get taken hostage and stuff. Because of course they're regulars and it's easy to do so, and they're like, oh yeah, we plan to execute them if you don't come out and all that. And it's a little bit convoluted, but it just didn't feel as solid and well thought out as the stakes feel right now. The stakes are, one side, if we lose, this is hugely embarrassing to us. And the other side is, we need to save Jinsung. And it's pretty much as simple as that. We need to save Jinsung, and of course people like Yama have his own reason for going in, wanting to save his people and wanting to take out Yasracha. So it feels a lot more well thought out when it comes to the stakes for both sides. And then of course the stakes for Cha and Dewan, of Cha wanting to help Bomb and feeling like, oh yeah, Bomb's the chosen one, we're going to use him to take out Zahard. But they have his friends captive. And Dewan on the other side of things saying, yeah, they have our friends captive, so let's kill the chosen one so we can have peace. I really, really think that, in closing here, because this has ended up being much longer than I thought, for all of those reasons, it feels like the two arcs are very, very similar between the Nest and the Last Station, except that this just does every little sort of aspect that the Last Station had going on. It does basically the same aspect, just better. So I kind of feel like, after thinking about this topic, like I said, maybe the Last Station was just too soon. Maybe it didn't have enough build-up. Maybe CU just sort of wanted to have a big climactic battle for the end of Season 2, and maybe the end of Season 2 just didn't need to be this big climactic battle, because the Nest is showing how it can be done really, really right. Just a disclaimer at the end, though, I don't think The Last Station was completely terrible. It definitely has some decisions that I disagree with, but I do think it was really entertaining on the week to read. So it's one of those things that was entertaining. It wasn't the most well written to me, but that doesn't mean that everything was bad. There were some good things, but it just, and again, I'm not saying that the Nest so far is just this perfect holy grail of an arc. I'm just saying that the two arcs are very similar, and this does the sort of general vibes of this type of arc much better. So yeah, just wanted to throw out a little Tower of God discussion that didn't fit in any of the reviews, because that's why I wanted to make this a separate video, because it was something that, again, the past few weeks I had wanted to talk about, but I was like, I'm going to be catching up to reviews, and I don't know if this fits in any particular review, so I wanted to talk about it on its own merits as a discussion. But yeah, that's it. Video ended up longer than I thought, but I was just talking off the top of my head. Thank you for watching. If you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of, what you think of these two arcs, what you think of my thoughts on them. Yeah, subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Like I said, I'll be catching up to reviews of both the anime and the webtoon as soon as possible. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, just ask and I can give you one. It's free and open for anyone. And if you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, it's patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.